Hi, Peggy here with Crypto Gal. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin because a lot of people are seeing this establishment as a crash and burn. And those of you who have been involved in this for quite a while, I'm going to give you a little history buff on that because as you guys know, I'm real big into history. But before we get started, I'm not here as your financial advisor. This is just strictly my opinions and what I see in the markets because let's face it, it is a volatile market. And not only with it just being in the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency market as people want to label it, it's every market, even with stocks and bonds and what's happening in the commodities market. And I'm going to touch a little bit of base on this because all of this is a unification that all shows what one does, the other does, except for my high and mighty commodity, and that is in gold. So just like any other traded asset, the Bitcoin price is affected by supply and demand. As simple as that. I find a lot of people don't even factor in this into play. With the occurrence of certain global fundamental events, there could have been a relation to the value of Bitcoin, also known as the Bitcoin whales. They're holding thousands of Bitcoins, and that is enough to create a large enough daily price maneuver with the values to storm with the lock and load factors. With Bitcoin's price crashing below 30,000 today for the first time since July of 2021, it reaches a low into the 29K. Is this alarming to some? Yes. However, those that have been down this alley way before with the big Bitcoin crash of 2016 and 2017, why don't you just take it looking back as a slow recovery from what we did in 2008? And I'm going to touch base on that. So always remember when I come back to that for 2008. Now, looking back into April, the inflation calls itself as a pace of both yearly and monthly price growth. According to the data that was released by the Labor Department, and I'm talking on the US side, not even on the Euro or in the Japanese market, which the global economy is still driven with the statuette until more of the globe sees a different value in currency of the times with crypto. So with that, let's move over because I just want to be able to show you guys what I'm talking about when I'm saying like this crash had happened. So let's just step back just to 2021. In July of 2021, you can see where the stability was moving into these markets this way and showing what Bitcoin was doing as what I call the sidewinder. Total retracements being reinforced and for the values in this volatile market, making sure that this was escalated into this. So with yesterday's market value into the 30s, which we dropped consecutively ever since March with an incline going into the war with Ukraine, you can see where the supply and demand has been a big struggle because you can even just go to the grocery store when I'm saying supply and demand. The same loaf of bread that you always buy has now increased in value. This is the supply and demand, even with this being a strange of being able to even get the supply and demand out there. So watching the markets tells you exactly what it is, the values of these are. Sharing this is in the bear market of 2018 levels. You can see where this came back as a retracement of its accumulation into the range. And I'm just sharing this with you guys. Same thing. We came down into the big crash into another summer edge of this, going back into it in March of 2020. You can see where it escalated itself again. And this was during COVID. So this was a huge increased value of its market for an accumulation range. I think it's important for you guys to know this, to be able to share it so you can see this volatile market and what it's doing for its pace. Because some people, they don't know where the graduating scale of this is and what it's going to happen with it. So I think it's real important for that. And this is why I fight for cryptocurrency when people want to sit there and laugh at me for something that I'm involved in, but it's mine. So just stepping back into this, what I was saying with this, that the globe sees this different value in currency because it is a different currency. It is a true currency. Look at it like this. The Consumer Price Index, which is the CPI, the Labor Department, now I'm talking the US side, closely watch the gauge of inflation. Okay, so let's just talk about that for a minute because we're seeing this inflation climb. It rose 8.3% over the past 12 months. Okay, coming out of the COVID, and 0.3% in April alone. The economists expected an annual inflation to drop to 8.1% in March, and with a 0.2% rise in prices, according to the consensus that have been estimated. Now, this is all things that are out there as known factors of numbers. You yourself in the world can see this. No creation like Dragnet that says just the facts, ma'am. With inflation slowly performing from an 8.5% annual rate in March, and a whooping 1.2% month over month rise coming out of the first quarter. Why? As gas and oil prices declined from a peak driven by the war in the Ukraine. And what I mean by this is when you take a look over to the crude oil, and let's just take a little quick snapshot of this version, because I like to be able to share with you guys where this is and what happens with it. Let me get over to my little screen. Okay, when we're talking crude, this is crude. crude is the oil basis that makes the oil. So it's not like people like where we live in Texas thinking, well, oh, you just go out your back door and you just pump the little thing with the little tower thing that you see for the rig and you get your oil. That's not how it's worked. It still has to be processed, but you can see this. And the reason why I'm showing you guys this is because it's important to watch this in this market. Okay. We're looking right here into March when we were scalability. And what it means is it reaches its peak level. We were way into over $120 a barrel then. Okay. And when you start seeing the inclination this with crude oil, it's took its downturn, and you can come and see it. It's set into a spin even 2 weeks into March. And this is going into the close of the first quarter. At the same pace, you can see this with the scalability of Bitcoin, right? So you have this balancing act, as you can say, like the Libra scale is done in horoscopes. This makes sure that this measure is done. And here we are looking at it coming into what is known into May the 11th of today. We're at $104. Now, can this be changed for a justification? Yes, certainly it can be. Will it be a measurement of time? Yeah, but you can see when you're looking at this, the crude 105 up 5 points, Brent up 5 points, natural gas up 0.2, gasoline 3.7. Okay, and this is a marginal scale that you're only using, and I'm looking at this as from the Chicago, the CME, the Chicago Market Exchange. So these are different values that you can see with this. And of course, here's my one and only commodity that I always fight for you guys because it's at the top, and I'm going to get to stepping in time with that because I think it's important for you guys to know that as well, because I think sharing that information with you kind of gives you a little bit better perspective of knowing what this value is. Now, except for gold, like I just said, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency with multiple world records. The highest trading volume of $69 billion in a trading volume, the highest price per coin, and the highest market capitalization of $5.9 billion in a market cap. Foreseen, but like I say, as the exception of gold, gold trades daily at $145.5 billion in a trading volume. Much more than what Bitcoin does. It is the commodity statuette. This is something that has been a long time ago. Bitcoin came after. And for that being said, Bitcoin holds one of the largest volumes in this volatile market, no worse than the American stock market. The Euronext in Europe is the largest market, to the second being in the UK with the London Stock Exchange, the LSE. And I will stop there across the pond. So why do I fight for this new market movement? Because I want control. Yes, never underestimate a woman, especially me. The control of money, I want to move it, where I want it, when I want to purchase something, what I want to do with it, when I want it. I want to be able to negotiate without fees, well, minimal fees, nonetheless, and no interest and sure the hell no tax. Call me the Robin Hood of the future, but this ship sailed a long time ago, and hold no despair to your own centralized bank the next time that you drive up to your ATM machine or go outside that draw of, oh crap, I have to borrow another loan, and how much is this going to cost me? Right? Even stepping into like your credit cards, when we had the COVID and so many people lost their jobs, they had to rely on their savings account and they had to rely on their credit cards just to be able to get them through. And now they're where? In total debt, which is exactly where the governments like you to be. And not just over in the US, this is always across the pond as well in Europe, even in Japan, even in China. And that's a whole nother subject to even touch. But right now we're going to focus on this Bitcoin analyzation because I think it's important for you guys to learn it. And I always like to step back in time for the average Joe. And not just because Bitcoin, but even the altcoins, so you can do your own read and research. Don't just be the average Joe to just sit on your butt waiting for the government to continue to drive you like a robot. Be your own kingdom. You know what I'm trying to say? Make sure that you drive your statuette. Make sure you know what you're doing to be able to continue yourself. But you still have to be patient and wait because the return is more beneficial than the centralized bank. They say, sure, no problem. We're always happy to assist you, and then turn around to say, just sign right here on the dotted line. This is a disbelief and a mindset from the government to put you in debt and owe for the rest of your life. So let's just step over a little bit into time and let's just take a quick glance at what is happening over there in the Bitcoin market, because I always like to be able to share with you guys for this downturn that's going on, unfortunately. Yes, so let's just do a quick refresh. Here we go. Bitcoin's loading itself up. And looking at this, the price value now for Bitcoin is at, like I said, 29,000. It scaled itself up just a wee bit You can see where it's done a little bit of a statuette turn for 29,982. Its volume is still holding, 24-hour volume. That's the market volume of trading of $64.6 billion. Who the hell does that, right? And it's still in a movement. So don't sell yourself short that the wells are done, because the wells are in. And let's face it, wells always take a deep dive whenever they're going back north after their summer vacation of donating with creating new baby wells down in the south. So as I like to do with you guys, I always like to open this up for a 7-day instead of a 1-day. And looking at this from its market value of its scalability, you can see where it has totally moved itself at the beginning of May. And we've done nothing but go down, 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 down. So we're definitely in a huge spiral spin top with the market being the way that it is, because this is that supply and demand. Coming out of this second quarter, I do see that we'll see a big turnaround and a retracement movement, which is going to be good. So we'll be able to open that up. So as I look at it from the whole month, you can see where we have progressed a little bit coming out of April and moved itself in for its scalability. As you step back and look at it for 3 months, you can see where we came out of that first quarter, just like I was saying. And that's when oil did what it did. And I knew as soon as the commodities were making their money for this movement of retracement, I knew that the cryptocurrency was going to take this. And this is where you have to learn and be patient and wait your waiting game out so that you can take these measures for a better streamline. Even when you step back and overall looking into 2022, we really aren't in that bad of a shape, even though people tend to look at money. So they'll just see the dollar sign, right? And they're like, oh my God, it's not 60,000. What happened to the 60,000 when we were right here peaked in November, coming right out of a changeover into the governments of a new president, and it scaled itself up to 67,000 of Bitcoin. Okay. Don't look at it into the value of what the dollar is. Look at it into the value of what you're trading with it. And this is why it's very important to make sure you watch it. Some people say they don't know how to read the markets. It's really not that hard, but it just takes a little bit of time consumption for you to be able to educate yourself in this value. So streamlining this and making sure that you're protected, this is what I feel like with this. So allow me to close with this mannerism. As you all know, I am the history buff that I am. So to set the record straight with Bitcoin, you all say that this is new, but you are so wrong. Bitcoin has been around for a long time, and allow me to justify this with you. Well, at least for the US government. But quickly you will read into this as a global effect as I read on. A creation to counter the 2008 financial crisis, and those that are too young to know this year, I will let you look that up yourself. But Bitcoin was weathered extreme volatility, as it is today, spiking to the US $19,650 in 2017 before spending years locked below the US $10,000, which today you see a down spiral into the bear market. As of today, it's 29,000. So when you look at this and you see the graduating scale of where we're at right now from where we came from and where we're going, do you really kind of consider yourself to be in a bear market of this volatility? Unveiled in the late 2008, the cryptocurrency was meant to revolutionize the monetary system. Let me repeat this sentence one more time. Unveiled in the late 2008. Now we're in a crisis, financial crisis in 2008, mind you. The cryptocurrency was meant to revolutionize the monetary system and was first introduced in a white paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And what could be more electronic than your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone? And that's all you need, right? Everything was a set pace to get us prepared for this. It's a movement of change. And let's face it, I don't know about you, I don't like change because they've made us be so habitually inclined, because that is what they do. They tell you, you have to own a car, you have to own a house, you have to have 5 credit cards, you have to do this, you have to do that. You don't have to do nothing. This is where you take ownership back to yourself. So look it up yourself. Records cannot hide when something is of public knowledge. Penned by notorious elusive persons, or persons I should say, who use the synonym Satoshi Nakamoto. This 9-page manifesto laid out as a compelling argument and the groundwork for the creation cyber currency. That's right. So even the crisis created something of a monetary system. And this is where it comes from. So when people turn around and say, oh, that's new, I don't trust it, I don't know anything about it. Well, hell, you didn't know anything about money when you were 18 years old and your parents said, okay, well, here's the credit card and this is what you do. And this is how you learn financials, and you go to school and they teach you how to do bookkeeping and accounting. Well, some of us, you know, I'm a nerd when it comes to dollars and graphs and charts and spreadsheets and budgets. I love it. Okay, so it's a divine divinity for me. So some of those that aren't, these are those type of people. So that's why they look at just the dollar sign of that. They don't pay attention to how they got to that. And this is why I'm trying to explain that to you with what Bitcoin is doing with that. With this creation of the immutable ledger preventing double spending, the true allure for Bitcoin's early adopters was in its potential to wrestle power away from banks and financial institutes and give it to the masses. How more plain English do you need it to be? And this is public information. This was especially enticed as the fallout from the 2008 financial collapse. It ricocheted internationally, that means globally, and described as the worst. As we see what is coming next, financial crisis since the Great Depression of 1929 to 1939, 120 months of depression with a worldwide economic effect. Yes, so 120 months worldwide economic effect. And let's see, oh, that's right. We just went through a worldwide economic effect, and it's sure the hell is grounding more and more as we get to this. The US, now listen to this number. This is really going to blow your mind. $7.4 billion in value was erased from the US stock market in just 11 months, while the global economy shrank by its estimated $2 trillion. And today we are just now starting a trend effect by what has escalated trillions in the US debt alone. So imagine that this is in growth to be worldwide. So I ask you to open your eyes, protect your money, and not the bank's money. I'm just doing as a graduating scale because I want you guys to know this is something that was created a long time ago. It's not leaving, and it's something that you need to understand so that you can go to the next step. And it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, because we're always looking back to our millennials of what our future is going to be, because they are. You know, back when I was in my 20s, the elderly looked at me and said, oh God, this is what our future is going to be like, right? And here we are. Now we're looking at them and saying, this is what our future is going to be. And when you look at the youth, everything is by digital. Everything is digital. They don't believe in a savings account. They live paycheck to paycheck. You know, they don't focus on the credit card, but they want to be able to move their money. And what a better way to do it than digitally via card. So I'm going to stop right there, you guys. I've had a great day talking with you. Reach out to me. Make sure you dingle my bell. Keep me subscribed so I can do some more videos for you guys. Look up for me on Facebook and for Instagram as well as Telegram. I'm always here for you guys. I'm always anxious to be able to share. Send me an email. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm happy to share it with you as well. I love doing research for you guys. So you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you real soon. Make sure you do what you're supposed to do. Crypto Gal out.